Yeah, Tim Kawakami, San Francisco Standard. I don't think I've introduced myself to Buster, but to Buster, obviously Tony's not lacking in energy and personality. I know maybe it wasn't the single thing you were looking for, but were those factors, like either you identified, hey, I'm meeting this guy, this is what we need, or did you have that kind of circled when the search began? You'd like some energy, you'd like some personality in that clubhouse.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it would be fair to say that that was like the overriding factor that I was looking for. I was looking for somebody that I felt like shared a similar vision, had similar ideals. You've heard him talk about people over and over again up here. To me, that's your secret sauce in everything. It's the relationships you build. And so for me, it was finding somebody that I think we matched up in a lot of those ways, and that we could grow together. You know, the hope is that this is a relationship that lasts a really long time.
And you did mention vision and conciseness. I know you don't pick words randomly. I don't know if I'm referring to any question he's already answered, but can you tell us what you mean by concise?
Yeah, I mean, so look, I think concise comes from my conversations with him over the last few weeks, and he's very direct in his thoughts, and there's not a lot of hemming and hawing. He has what he believes. Now, I will say that. I think that can be misconstrued to say that he's not going to be malleable. Certainly is not how I felt throughout this either. But I think it's a huge attribute to be able to take in information, and once you get that information, make a decision and stick with it. And you know, you should be able to back up why you were concise in that situation.
Sorry, some of my answers haven't been concise. A lot to share with you.
Stay on the left side. Kerry?
Hi, Tony. Kerry Crowley, San Francisco Standard. Have you made any hires for your coaching staff yet? Will you retain anyone? And what qualities do you generally look for when you try to hire people?
Yeah, I think at this point, it's get to this day and then push forward. That doesn't mean there haven't been a ton of conversations prior to, and it could be a variety of things. It could be, you know, keeping those that are on board and obviously know the players well already, bringing somebody in, covering blind spots, just complimenting one another. But my biggest thing is just for everybody to be on the same page. I think, you know, pulling on the same rope is a cliche for a reason. And we talked about how long the season is. So it's important to have a group of guys that are willing to be there through thick and thin. It literally is a marriage for the course of the season. So to me, it doesn't have to be the brightest, the best, the most experienced, or the best resume. It needs to be the guy that's going to have your back. And he's also going to have to take either the leap of faith or know that, you know, I or whoever else has their back. And then you kind of get this reciprocal thing we talked about with fan base. It's more important for it to go on with the coaching staff because the players can see it and they can feel it and they can hear it. And in order for them to do it, you all have to be doing it as a staff as well. And there is nothing more fun than when you got it going on with the staff and the players are doing that. And then there's the back and forth too. And, you know, sometimes it's after a loss, which is crazy for me to say up here, but there's a feeling. These guys have been a part of competitive sports. You can feel when it's like, if I'm going to come back, you know, and bounce back from this, I want to do it with this group, and I believe I can. And then, of course, nothing better than celebrating a win with the people that, you know, you truly want to be around and people that you know, again, you could count on to help you achieve something like that.
Let's go right here. Right.
Hey, Tony, Jack Loader. I'm with KNBR. You're obviously a very competitive guy. How much did the current landscape of the National League West play into your decision, and how excited are you about the challenge of taking on rosters like the Dodgers and Padres?
Yeah, I think, you know, the bottom line is if you want to win the final game of the season, you're going to have to beat everybody. You be better than everyone. Now, not everyone can be on your schedule. But just looked at it a little bit, in part following the division because of some of the players, you know. The Rockies have 3 guys that we recently coached, you know, and then some ties to San Diego with a friend of mine who used to manage there, and just watching in general. I got friends down in the LA area as well, so nothing too crazy there. I mean, no matter where you go, if you're striving to, you know, make progress, competition is going to be at a very, very high level, and got to be careful too about not getting caught up in what others are doing. You know, the most important people and the most important place is pretty much where we are right now. So, well, again, to me, what doing a good job is, which I said at the very beginning, centers around you focusing on what we got going on here and doing it as well as we can do it.
Okay, let's take 3 to 4 more. Let's go over here back to Maria.
Tony, you're obviously the son of a coach. Just how has your dad kind of influenced your outlook and your approach to coaching in general?
I think having principles or values that you want to stick to and have conviction to them. You know, I think one thing that's key for our players is to go out there and play with conviction. You know, each pitch of the year. Again, long season. That is so much easier said than done. But when you got a fan base, because we're in this together now, whether you like me or not, I've just seen it. It includes everybody. And unfortunately, when things get difficult or it doesn't go the way you're hoping, some people get further apart from the center of the group. But the best groups are, no matter how it's going, people seem to get closer as time goes by or reps pile up or maybe even difficulties or successes pile up. It just is a group that gets together. So whether it's media, fans, our players, everybody that I've met so many people, we're all in this together. And I've learned that from my dad. And, you know, being a part of, you know, not a part of them, but getting to sit on the bench when I was little and see all the different teams he coached, you kind of become well educated in, well, this isn't the right thing to do in this situation, or this is. And his teams had a knack for peaking towards the end of the season. And I think that's piling up lessons learned, but more importantly, falling back on that concept of as things get going, you know, difficult or longer or harder, then everybody gets closer together.
Okay, to the right here, Michael.
Yeah, Mike Wilson, Knoxville News Sentinel. This is for Zach and Buster. Zach, earlier you said that this might feel really outside the box, but what are some of the things about Tony that maybe make this less outside the box than it might appear?
Well, I think him having this success that he's had at Tennessee has drawn a lot of attention to him from the professional side for quite some time. So like I said, when we sit in the draft room, there's a lot of conversation about what was going on at that university and what Tony in specific was doing with his players. And as you do that and you start to do research on players, ultimately you end up having conversations with staff from that school, other schools. We have a lot of great people who work in amateur scouting who think the world of Tony. And I think for me personally, not to speak for Buster, you start to get a little bit of a sense of who this person is and what those attributes are and how they could fit into professional baseball. And so when you start lining them up, there is some things that draw strong comparisons to people who have been really successful in the role right out here.
Okay, we're going to take 2 more. Let's go right here to Janie.
Tony, when you think about working for Buster and Zach, I mean, the fact that Buster is still fairly freshly removed from his playing career and all that he did in this game, I mean, how much comfort is there? And can you believe that this guy played all 9 positions in one game his junior year at Florida State? And do you remember that and some of all the things that he did here?
I do remember it. We're both former shortstops. Our careers went a little different at one point, but if I was picking up on what you're saying, I think maybe we should talk him out of retirement. You said he's not that far removed. He's kind of moving around, all right, earlier today. But no, I think a big X factor in this whole thing was being around somebody like him. And, you know, to leave where I was at was not easy. We kind of touched on that already. It had to be a certain set of circumstances that would even be considered. And ultimately, what this was about, just to some personal introspective of 2 words that I had to diagnose are risk and challenge. And they both are kind of the same thing. But if you talk about risk, you know, it kind of sounds like you could lose it all if it doesn't go well. But to me, this was more about a challenge. And no matter how each day goes, and again, to beat up the theme, I'm very well aware there's a higher sample size, so therefore more days. Regardless of how it goes, are you willing to meet the challenge? And what a challenge is something that you find out what you can and can't do. And that's something that we've preached to our players all the time at Tennessee. So who am I to preach that, but to not do it? Now, when you head into a challenge, you want a level of confidence. And again, there's so many unknowns. I can't tell you what that level is for me, but the level of the people surrounding me here, whether it's the roster, which is pretty good, or the other people in the organization, and in particular, again, the guy sitting to the right of me, the confidence is through the roof.
Okay, last one, back left.
Hi,
Andy.
Tony. Andy Baggerly with The Athletic. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
You know, one sort of cohort of players you haven't had experience really interfacing with are Latin American players, which make up a huge part of Major League rosters. Do you have thoughts about just how you're going to go about connecting with those players, and do you have to have resources on your staff to help you with that?
Yeah, I think who makes up the staff is really key. And then I think also just making an effort, which involves work ethic, to meet that challenge in particular head on. Because again, regardless of people's backgrounds, when you're in a work environment, you need to get to know who people are, and you need to build relationships. And you also want to build a trust level there that they're willing to come to you with certain things. And then, as you all have become familiar with, there's a lot of key decisions that happen over the course of a game. So there's got to be that trust level too, whether it's me making the final call or it's a staff decision to do something, that individual's got to trust us. So to have any barriers or obstacles that are in the middle of that trust is not a good thing, and it's something that's got to be approached and attacked from day one. And again, that's probably something in the off season that will be earmarked by not just myself, but everybody to kind of meet that challenge in particular head on.
Okay, with that concludes today's press conference. Thanks again, everyone, for coming out. And Tony, congrats again.
Thank you. Thank you.